Welcome to the Have You Met Her Yet podcast, a podcast by Pink Crown Creative. I am your host, Lindsay Dent, the founder of Pink Crown Creative, a Vancouver-based marketing consulting company. This podcast was created to shine a spotlight on women in the workplace, who they are, what they do, why you should know them. In this week's episode, I speak with Jessika Noda, founder of Jiyubox. I was connected with Jessika last March when she reached out to me through Instagram, asking for some advice and wanting to share a bit more information about the upcoming launch of her business. After we met, I knew her launch would be successful and that she had something pretty exciting to share. Since then, we have continued to champion each other's businesses and always can count on each other for entrepreneurial advice and support. I can't wait for you to meet Jessika. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to Have You Met Her Yet? This is a series on who you are, what you do, and why you should know someone. So specifically, I interview female business owners, and today I have Jessika from Jiyubox, and I'm going to be sharing a bit more she's going to be sharing a bit more about herself. So just to get started, I have a few questions to kind of get things going. If you want to share with everyone, what is your story? What do you do? And how did you get to where you are today in your career?
Okay, that's a lot of questions.
So maybe to start off, what is your story?
Okay, so my story is I, went the traditional route and I went to school and I got my degree and, wanted to get out and be an adult and start working right away. And my degree, I did a bit of marketing and tourism, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to go into tourism. I love traveling. This makes so much sense. I'm set. And then I got into tourism and realized this is not my thing. I'm not traveling as much as I thought, and so I ended up switching and going into tech sales, which was great. At one company, I was working with a lot of influencers and YouTubers, so that was really fun. And then I was kind of looking for the next challenge and went on to another tech job in sales and was miserable. It was like I couldn't handle it, and so basically what happened is I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I need to do something else. And my partner, he was like, why don't you try starting your own business? Because he's an entrepreneur, and he's like, it's doable. You're young. We have no mortgage, no kids, nothing to lose. Just do it. I was like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And so went for it, and I basically tried to do marketing, and I realized that also wasn't for me. And basically over Christmas I realized, okay, I'm not happy, I'm not making money, what else can I do that I really care about? And what happened was I kind of had this epiphany. I was like, okay, I need to give this entrepreneur thing a shot, like a fair shot. I can't give up after a few months. And I really thought about what I was passionate about, and what it came to was skincare, beauty, and wellness. And so I was like, okay, so what can I do in this space? I don't have the time or money yet to learn how to make and formulate all these things. I need to do something that's a bit quicker. And basically, I think I was watching a YouTube video of someone, doing those PR unboxings. I was like, I could do that. I could definitely do that. And so that's how Jiyubox started, is basically desperation and passion is how the company got started, and I'm really happy. It was such a split-second decision, and I like doing those kinds of things because I find that those are the ones that end up going the fastest. Because if you take the time to sit on it, try and do the math, build out a business plan, it's 6 months later, and you're like, I didn't even start yet. And you kind of give yourself more time to talk yourself out of it. So I just kind of ran with it, and it's going.
I love that. I also love desperation and passion. I feel like those are such true words in an entrepreneur's life. I mean, you kind of get to that desperate moment, and then you figure out, what am I most passionate about? What do I care about? So yeah, I love the combination of that, which is really cool. So I guess tell us a bit more about what Jiyubox is all about.
Yeah, so Jiyubox is an all-natural, cruelty-free personal care and wellness box, and we feature indie beauty brands. So what indie beauty means is you won't be able to find any of the products in big box stores like a Sephora or a London Drugs or an Ulta. They're all from small businesses, and the reason I chose to work with indie beauty brands is because you actually get to build the community. And a lot of the times when I'm emailing people, you're actually talking with the founder of it, and they're always very engaged and they want to help. So I really like that aspect of community, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do with Jiyubox, was build a community around all natural skincare, the education of it, being able to share tips and tricks. So that's the overall kind of the vision that I had for Jiyubox, and it's still going towards that direction. The reason I went with the all natural is actually I was going plant-based, and I started looking at all the ingredients that was not just in my food, but in my skincare and in my home, and it's like, oh my god, there's so much stuff in here that I don't need, I shouldn't be having. So that was kind of the direction, and I just noticed that, you know, the subscription box industry is huge right now, and there are a ton of beauty boxes, a ton of skincare boxes, vegan boxes, but I felt like I just need to find a bit more of a niche. So that's what we do. We send our boxes out every season. So it goes out the next one's coming out in December, March, June, and September.
Okay, cool. Very cool. And so would you say the indie part of it is what makes you different from all of those beauty boxes?
I think it's a big part of it. I mean, a lot of the times when you are getting into skincare that is all natural and cruelty-free, and even when you go as far as vegan, they are usually brands that are not as well known, but they are starting to show up in the Sephoras of the world. You know, you can see Sephora's got their whole clean beauty thing, which is great.
Right.
But the reason why I want to do that was to help people discover new products. And with indie beauty and with all natural beauty, it is hard to find that right fit, and I think it has to be people who are really interested in finding new stuff. And for me, I love trying new things and discovering new things, but not everyone has the time to be able to do it.
Right.
So it's kind of just an extra surprise and a reason to subscribe to a box instead of being like, oh, well, I can just go to Sephora and get it. Why would I subscribe to anything?
Right. So for each box that you put together, do you usually work within like a theme, or how do you put everything together, and how do you think like, okay, the masses are gonna like this specific box, I guess?
So since it's seasonal, I did that on purpose because our skin does change throughout the seasons, right? So your skin in the summer is going to be completely different from what your skin is in the wintertime. So I do base the boxes around what our skin in general is looking for during the change in season. So in the summertime, our box had a lot more things to use on the go, things to cool you down, stuff that you would want to use in the sun or taking to travel with. Whereas our winter box coming up is going to be more about hydration and also relaxation, because it is a wellness box. So stuff to kind of keep your mental health in check and take a step back, especially after all of the holidays. Shopping, you want to just kind of relax a bit.
Yeah, very true. So with all of the products that you source, are they Canadian? Are they American? Where are you kind of getting all your products from?
Yeah, so it's both Canada and the US. I think because we're a Canadian brand, I'll probably always have at least one Canadian brand in every box. But there is just so much out there, and I didn't want to, pigeonhole myself into one country.
Right.
And of course, when we get bigger, I'd love to expand. There's a lot in the UK and in Australia. So right now it's just North America, but I mean, there's some awesome brands out there.
That's awesome. So I guess getting back to yourself, what would you say your daily routine looks like in terms of beauty and self-care?
Sometimes it's the same all the time, and sometimes it's different because I test all the products. So sometimes I'm trying to try the new products and incorporate it into my existing skincare. I would say what I do on a daily basis is I've been playing with cleansers, so I don't have a favorite cleanser right now, but I always use the Kodo Collection Calm Spray Mist. We had it in our summer box.
Nice.
I absolutely love it because I never used to use toner before, basically because I was too lazy to take the toner and get a cotton pad.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and because this is a spray, I can just go like this and be done with it because I'm a pretty lazy person when it comes to skincare. And I really didn't do much of it until I got into my mid-20s. I was like, oh my god, my skin is changing, I need to do something now. So that one is one of my favorites. I always moisturize. I've been playing with a few different moisturizers lately. Right now I'm using Indie Lee skincare.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just started getting into using face oils as well.
Oh,
I really
okay.
love the face oils, and for me especially, basically from September until May, my skin is very dry. So I like the face oils because it keeps in all the moisture that I just put on my skin,
Mm-hmm.
and then I always use sunscreen.
Yes.
Every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good advice as well. Very good. So off the top of your head, I know this is probably going to be really, really difficult, but do you have 3 favorite products that you are loyal to, that you use all the time?
Oh god. Well, one would be Kodo Collection. That is my absolute favorite. I use her face toner every day, but I've tried out almost all of her line, and her stuff is amazing. So I definitely recommend Kodo Collection.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually from Victoria,
Oh,
and she's one of the
nice.
first people that I had reached out to for the subscription box, and she's been so supportive. Oh my god. What else do I really like? I really love actually Hello Sunday's vitamin facial mask. That one was also in her summer box. I don't know what it is, but every time I use it and I take it off, my skin is just glowing, and that's obviously something you can only use, maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah.
But I love actually doing it before makeup, because then, your makeup is basically a kind of reflection of your skin, right? So if you have great skin underneath, then the makeup's gonna look better. So I actually do that every time I put on makeup.
Nice.
And then I guess the third one would be probably Schmear Naturals. So they have a face oil that I've actually gotten my second bottle already.
Mm-hmm.
I just love it. It's got they're antioxidant face oil, so it's got sea buckthorn and oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to get this out of camera as well. Yeah, so their face oil is really great. It absorbs really fast and it smells really good.
Oh, nice.
But what I like about all these products is that my partner can also use them.
Oh, that's great.
Trying to get him to learn how to use skincare, it's been pretty easy. I'm like, just try it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think my husband uses like minimal stuff, and his face always looks great, and I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Like I feel like for some reason females need to do so much more, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess our skin is a bit more oily and etc. Right? I mean, we're putting makeup on and everything all day, so. Okay, so if there was a company out there that wanted to be a part of your box, how does that process work? Do you outsource people, or are you having people come to you? If someone wanted to be a part of your box, like what would that process look like?
Yeah, it's both. So I plan quite a few months in advance. So by the time, I already have an idea what I want for winter 2020.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's great.
So basically, I have an idea of the types of products that I want in the box for that season, and then I usually start doing my research quite a bit earlier and looking for brands that I like. I have a bajillion list, a bunch of like saved folders on Instagram and everywhere else. But I do have people reaching out to me, and I love support. And they are people who do want to work together, and I do find that they usually integrate with the brand that Jiyubox is and the community that we're trying to build. So I definitely answer all the emails. It says team@jiyubox.com, but it's me answering it.
Love it.
Yeah, I have it and I try and incorporate it as much as I can. If I can't get it into the box in the next few months, I'll be like, I think that'd be a great fit for this box during this season. Or we also have a store if you want to be in the store as well.
Yeah, I recently saw that in your newsletters, and I think that's really cool. I think you're catering to people who maybe can't afford to get a full box. They're able to pick and choose different products, especially if it's something that you've outsourced. I think that's like a really cool thing that you've added on, which is awesome.
Yeah, it kind of happened because I had a few friends who weren't able to order the summer box because they were moving or out of town or whatever it was, and they're like, oh, but can I get this one thing that was in the last box? It's like, okay, well, it's not in the fall box, but I guess you can have the individual one. So that's kind of where the idea came from, because I realized, my other friend was like, I ran out of the coconut oil.
You need more, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. And one question I'm sure many people want to know is, what is the story behind the name of your brand? And if you can share a bit more about that.
Yeah, so the word Jiyu means freedom in Japanese. And I basically picked that for my company because it really represented what I was looking for in life. My life goal from as long as I can remember was to be able to work from a beach from anywhere in the world. And So the idea of GU meant it was freedom from the 9-to-5 grind, freedom to, express who I was and do what I needed to do as a person. And then when I introduced Jiyubox, it made sense. It's like, well, it's free from cruelty, it's free from parabens, free from, all those things. And so that's kind of how it became, and now it just kind of like embodied me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's super cool. So if you were to live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Live anywhere and work in the world. So beach for sure is involved.
Yeah, I love anywhere hot. I love Spain. I do love Japan as well, but it's harder to get to a beach. Oh my god, I don't know if I can answer that question. I couldn't think I could stay in one place.
That's okay. So I have a few, I guess, business and professional questions for you. Do you have a professional mentor or someone who has inspired your career this far?
I do have a professional mentor. I actually got my mentor through FWE's E-Series program.
Oh, great.
So I would definitely recommend that program. And they paired me up with an awesome mentor. She's been able to help me figure out some of the roadblocks that I've gone through, and I think it helps because her business is only a few years older than mine, so it's still like recent in her mind of what they've been doing. So that has been really helpful to be able to get an outside perspective, because I think as an entrepreneur, you're like in your head all the time, and all you're thinking about is your business.
Oh yeah,
so you need someone to be like, hold up, just think about this for a second, maybe try this. In terms of, would you say life inspiration?
Just someone who's sort of inspired your career. So maybe inspired, is there anyone that you saw that maybe you admired their work ethic or what they've created with their brand? It doesn't have to necessarily be the same kind of brand that you have, but maybe something where you're like, oh, I just love everything that they embody.
I would say it's actually, I realized it was more recent. So my late aunt, she was a lawyer actually, and she ended up starting her own law firm for Indigenous peoples. And I didn't really realize this actually until very recently, and she's like the first person in my family that's been very entrepreneurial. So, a lot of the people our parents' age, they're very like company men, they stay in the company. And she was the first one that I guess, had interacted with that had gone off from the normal 9-to-5 and done her own thing. And she spent a lot of time volunteering and doing things that she was passionate about. She did a lot of stuff in the Japanese community. And as a kid, I never appreciated that at all. And then when I started my own business, it's like, oh my god, she's done so much. Why didn't I pay attention to her when I was younger? And so I think thinking about her and how much she was able to accomplish, that's what kind of keeps me going.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. That's super cool. So what is one piece of valuable advice you would give to someone who wants to get into your field?
I would say network, and I know it's so cheesy and everyone says it, but
it's so important.
It is, and I think if you're young and you're hungry, that's what you've got to do. And I'm still young and I still have a lot of networking to do, but it was probably one of the best things I did was just trying to get involved with other groups who are in your kind of space, or even other women's groups. They're so supportive, and especially here in Vancouver, I find there's a really good community for women entrepreneurs, corporate. So I think just getting out there and talking, you'd be surprised at how open people are to just chatting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree. That's always my biggest piece of advice too. It's network, just do it. Believe me, do it. So the next one is, what is one resource you can share that has been really beneficial to your job or your career?
A resource. Google? Can
Google.
I say that? I Google everything, and of course you have to take everything you find on the internet with a grain of salt.
Yes.
But Google has been my best friend because it helps me do my research. It's taught me how to edit videos, edit audio, how to use Shopify, how to run my website, all these little things. It actually is probably my best resource.
Yeah, no, it's true. There's so many things. nowadays anyone can start anything. I mean, starting this podcast is something that I researched, and there's so many resources out there when you can search it and it just comes up, and it's beautiful. I agree. So because there's only a few months left of this year, maybe this is a question for 2020. What is one thing that you will make happen next year?
Oh, I have so many things. Next year, I think what it's going to be, I haven't, okay, we're gonna have to cut that. Let me think for a second.
So many goals.
There are so many things. I mean, most of them are numerical, but I don't want to share that much.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I have one. Okay, so my goal for next year is to be able to make my first hire.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
Yeah, so this has been like a one-woman show, and what I have been debating on is how I can integrate someone else into the company. And I think the first step in that is just figuring out, like, what do I do and how can I delegate that?
Yeah.
Because I do want the company to grow and I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
by next year, I'd like to at least make one hire.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a really good goal to have. And so at the moment, you're not sure, like, which area you'd want to hire in?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I think as a solo entrepreneur, you don't realize how much stuff you're doing until you sit down and you write out even all the small tasks.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what takes up your time, is doing that kind of stuff. So I think it's a matter of me sitting down and thinking about, okay, what do I really want to focus on? Because the end goal is to be able to work on the company, not in it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that is probably one of the most important lessons an entrepreneur should learn is learning to let go of different things and realizing that you're not skilled in everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not skilled in math. I am not skilled in taxes. I am not skilled in so many other things. And when you're an entrepreneur, you just take on all of those roles. You're wearing all of those hats. But it takes sometimes those breaking points where you realize, oh my gosh, I'm so swamped, I'm so busy. And then you're like, well, yeah, I'm not good at all of these things. And you shouldn't have to be.
Exactly.
And the quote I hear time and time again, which is so true, is hire people that are smarter than you and hire people that can do those skills.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, why make your life so difficult, right?
Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah. Okay, so if you could give one valuable piece of advice to women on how they can overcome challenges in the workplace. So maybe if there's a time where you've maybe dealt with something because you're a female, or if there's any lessons that you've learned from anything.
Luckily enough, I haven't had any issues being a female. The companies that I was working for were very forward-thinking companies, so I'm very grateful in that aspect.
Great.
But I do find that having an ally with you at work doesn't necessarily have to be higher up, but maybe it's your colleague who's doing the same kind of job as you. Someone to be able to talk it out with, because I think women they want to bottle up their emotions because we have this stereotype of being too emotional.
Yeah.
So, and you don't want to be, too emotional or crying or looking angry or anything like that when you're in a confrontational situation. So I think having someone there at work to be like, hey, this happened, can we go for coffee? And just being able to diffuse yourself and recompose yourself and then go back to that conversation with whatever the situation was with a clear head. I think it's important to just take the time for yourself and restart instead of doing things in the moment. Yeah,
that's really, really good advice, especially when you can let it all out. I find if you bottle it up, or you write an email and send it, or like talk to someone head on, it's not really going to get you anywhere until you kind of remove yourself from the situation. Talk about it with someone, either a neutral party or someone who isn't involved or invested in it. Definitely really, really important to do that for sure. So with running your own business, how do you keep motivated?
I keep motivated. What it is I think about my end goals, and this is just one of those stepping stones to get there. And I kind of think backwards. I think, where am I going to be in 5 years? Where am I going to be in 10 years? What kind of life do I want to be living? And I kind of remind myself that, okay, I'm in my 20s. I have the time to get here. and really just put it out there and be like, this is the life that I'm going to have. And I think it's, you know, a lot of people think it's very like woo-woo talking about the universe, and I thought it was too. And it's just, you've got to put it out there. You, as ridiculous or as uncomfortable or as awkward as it sounds to like talk to yourself or keep reminding yourself of it, it works. And I think reminding myself of this is a life I'm going to have in 5 years, and being like, this is how I'm going to get there, and just repeating, that's kind of what keeps me going.
That's great. And so how, when you're sort of having all of these ideas and you're trying to keep motivated, do you have any strategies so you avoid burning out?
I pay really close attention to how I'm feeling. So, and when you're an entrepreneur, you have this tendency to be like, I'm going to work 12 hours today for the next 5 days, and then I'll be caught up on everything.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You get like stuck in that, you're like living off of coffee.
Yeah.
And what I've started to do is really pay attention to be like, okay, I'm really tired right now.
Yeah.
And I need to take a break. It's okay to take a break.
Yes.
I'm like notorious for taking afternoon naps, because sometimes, you know, I worked 12 hours a day before. It's okay to take like a couple hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's also, I mean, I usually work on the weekends too, but those extra 2 days where no one else is calling you and you have those times to get ready. So I think to avoid burnout, being really self-aware of how you're feeling and accepting that you're tired.
Yeah.
Also, a really good diet helps, you know, diet, exercise. So I think those would probably be what I focus on.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. Super important to listen to yourself and your body and everything.
It's really hard though.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, just 1 more hour, but
yeah.
I think it's really necessary. Otherwise, because if you do get there, I always am getting sick, and you can't do anything for 3 days anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so what is something that you are super passionate about, and what is something that you wish you were more passionate about?
I'm super passionate about building communities. So when I graduated from post-secondary, I immediately joined a women's organization that basically opened up my eyes to the possibilities of what I could do as a single person. Oh my God, what was the question?
What is something that you're super passionate about, and then something that you wish you were more passionate about?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm really passionate about building communities. I think it's important, and it doesn't necessarily have to be female or gender or anything like that, but being in a space where you have a common interest. And that's why I wanted to integrate that into Jiyubox, is being a community for natural skincare and helping each other out, helping each other find things, or even if it's like, I've got this really good home recipe for a face mask, being able to share those things and build those connections, especially in today's world where I find that we're like hustling so much and we're always looking out for what we can do for ourselves, but being in a space where you can collaborate with people, that's what I'm really passionate about. What I wish I was more passionate about is numbers and accounting, because it's so important in a business, but I'm awful at it, and I have an accountant because I just can't do it. And I don't know if I'll ever be passionate about that, but I am always looking at it.
Yeah, which again, from a high level perspective, it's great that you know what's going on in your business, but you don't necessarily have to be good at it or know everything else. You know, if you have someone else who can handle it for you that you trust, again, I think it's good to know that you can pass the torch to someone who actually knows what's going on and is passionate about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess specifically with your business, is there something that doesn't exist that you wish would exist because it would make your life or your business a bit more easier?
This is going to be really specific, and I've done a lot of research and I haven't found anything yet, but I wish that there were, you know, when you get something in the mail like Amazon, there's those like bubble wrap mailers. I wish that there was an eco-friendly version of that. It's so specific to this industry, but I realized is that when I'm sending out the boxes, they just get absolutely mangled in the post. And so it would take a lot of extra work and utilities to like put a box in a box with stuffing.
Right.
So I wish there was an eco-friendly, they're called poly mailers,
Okay.
an eco-friendly version of that I could put the boxes in, they won't get ruined in the post, and they're also eco-friendly.
Okay. I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to make your dreams come true.
I know, I'm going to put it out there.
Oh, I love it. Okay, I think the last question I had for you is, what is one accomplishment that you're extremely proud of? So you've been launched for 6 months now?
Yeah.
6 months?
Yeah.
So within the last 6 months, what is something that you're extremely proud of?
I think my biggest accomplishment was when I sold, or someone who I didn't know bought a subscription.
Oh, that's
Because
great.
you're always like telling your friends and family about it, but when it was, and he actually lives in California.
Wow.
So I have no idea how he found me, but when I saw that, it's like, oh my god, someone I don't know from a different country bought the box.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was
that's
really
such a great move.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so before we wrap up, is there anything you can share with us about the winter box coming up? Anything new and exciting that you want to kind of let people know?
Yeah, so the winter box is pretty much all set in motion. It's going to be about relaxing and taking some time for yourself after the busy holiday season. It's also about hydration, so I have one product in there that I'm really excited about.
Oh, nice.
And then for Jiyubox as a whole, every season we're going to be adding new stuff to the store.
Nice.
So right now we have stuff from just previous boxes, but I am in talks with other companies about having their products in the store and or eventually in the box. So like I said, I only have 4 a year, but I really would like to incorporate new companies, and especially the smaller ones who are just starting out. So yeah, keep checking. They'll be coming out as the new boxes come out.
Awesome. So where can people buy them? Where can they find you if you want to share your social media, your website?
Yeah, so the website's called jiyubox.com, JIYUbox.com, and all of my social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest are all at Jiyubox.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so proud to see how much you've accomplished through all of this. I mean, when we met, you had just kind of started. You're going to be launching your first box. So super excited to see what comes for you next year. Yeah, congrats.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I greatly appreciate the time that you took to listen and learn a bit more about another woman in business who is truly moving and shaking the world. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please subscribe, rate, review, and share it with a friend who you think might enjoy it too. These small actions truly mean the world to a small business owner like myself. If you're interested in Jiyubox, Jessika has generously provided a promotion code for all of our listeners to receive 15% off everything in her online store, as well as a discount that can be applied on your very first box in a seasonal subscription. You can get this discount by quoting "Have you met her yet 15" at checkout at www.jiyubox.com. If you're a business owner looking for inspiration and guidance in growing your business, I would love to help you. I also will be giving my listeners $25 off my Creativity Strategy Hour. By using promo code Creativity and Love, you can use it at checkout and get it on my website, which is available on the show notes, or at www.pinkcrowncreative.com. You can also stay up to date with the latest podcast releases, behind the scenes, and insider info about each guest by following us on Instagram at Have You Met Her Yet series, or by signing up for our weekly newsletter, which will bring each episode right to your inbox. Thank you so much for listening. It truly means the world. We wish you a wonderful week and hope that it is filled with creativity and love.